everyone, and hope you guys had a great week and weekend. Prachita and I are super excited today as we have our first guest on the PS Talk Show. We received great feedback on our episode Salary 8, Sapne Anek, and furthering our conversation on investing. Today we have with us Ishan Gautam of Explained by Ishan Gautam. Hi Ishan, welcome to the show.
Hi Shweta, hi Prachita. Thank you for having me.
Just to give our listeners a little background on Nishan, he is a career banker and a long term equity investor. He started a YouTube channel called Explained by Ishan Gautam, where he narrates and explains economic news and events and helps us understand how these events impact the Indian economy and stock market. A new episode drops every weekday before 9 a.m. and typically is 10 minutes or so. So, Ishan, you started Explained by Ishan Gautam for noobs in investing. What do you think differentiates your channel from so many others out there? A person new to investing can't even follow the news in a pink paper. Do you have a concept explanation series, or are there some websites or pages you would recommend as an ABC to understanding concepts and jargon?
Hey, great question there. But because you mentioned pink paper somewhere in between your question, I would like to start with a quick fact. And if you allow me, I'll take you back 100 years or maybe 130 years to be precise. In the 1980s, there were two major newspapers in the UK which were dealing in the financial news. The first paper's name was Financial Times, and the second was Financial News. Now, the names of these two newspapers were so similar that people would get confused, and hence, to differentiate themselves from the other, one of the newspaper, which goes by the name Financial Times of the UK, decided that they will start printing the news on a colorful paper. And the color which they chose was Solomon pink. It turned out to be a huge masterstroke.
Ramen.
Yes, absolutely. So, not only this made their newspaper look very different from the other newspapers, it also turned out to be a very cost-effective solution because it was cheaper to print on colorful paper. And it was such a powerful idea that even till today, that is almost 130 years later, financial newspapers are still following it. And that, and after that boring fact, which probably everyone knows, I will switch back to your question, which was about my
No,
channel.
no, that was totally great trivia.
Thank you. Now, with that boost of confidence, I will switch to answering your question about my channel. Now, I think the pain point behind me starting explained by Shan Gautam was that I always wanted a source of news where I will get a quick, source of what has happened yesterday before I start my day. And I looked and looked for almost 6 months or almost a year, but did not find a good source. Now, the regular kind of source are the TV and print media. Now, if you switch on your TV, the regular TV news channels are busy doing their live broadcasting of Yogi's bulldozer or the unintended pun of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And if they get some other time, they probably fight each other over the useless debates which they do. And if you switch to the business news channel, they are concentrated a lot on stock specific news, focusing on which stock is going up, which stock is going down. And in this process, they lose the, or, they don't give you the basic idea of what's happening in the economy and what is the cause of whatever is happening in the economy. So, wo jo basic analysis hai, that is missing in these business news channels. That is what I felt. So news channel was out of the picture for me. Then I used to read newspapers. I think the Hindu and the Economic Times are everyone's bible if you want some information. And the problem with newspapers was I used to go through the entire two newspapers, and it used to take me around 30 minutes just to finalize which are the articles which I want to read in details. So that was, very time consuming. Hence,
Mhm.
I decided that I will simply do it myself. Also,
Great.
yes. So that is probably the pain point. जिसका solution ढूंढते ढूंढते I started explained by Shan Gautam, and the basic concept or the idea behind explained by Shan Gautam is explaining things simply. So I believe that you really know a concept only if you can explain it to a fifth grader. And if you can't explain it simply, then you really don't know it. Difficult jargon is used just to hide your lack of knowledge or understanding, or to ensure that the other person does not understand enough to ask you a question back. So my YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
is essentially by a layman for the layman. uh, and in terms of suggestions for in-depth analysis, I think I would say that if you're looking for if you're looking into print media, the Hindu is the newspaper which is probably the only unbiased or non-side taking newspaper operational India right now. So if you want India specific news, that should be your go-to source. In terms of global news, I think you should follow The Economist. They are a little biased towards Europe, especially UK, because they are based in UK. uh, and they're biased not in terms of the side of Europe which they are taking, but the amount of coverage which they do of Europe and Europe related news. But other than that, I think they are really spot on or very good at analyzing situations and giving unbiased opinion. So if you want to understand the world economy, The Economist should be your go-to source, and if you want to understand what's happening in India, The Hindu should be your go-to source. And if you want to keep it simple, you tune into Explained by Shan Gautam. Every day morning, I will take you through what is happening in the world economy, why I think that US might dodge recession and Europe is definitely heading towards recession. These are, some of, I'm just giving you an idea of what are the things I talk about. We will talk about the fact that
Right.
the winter is coming and it's going to be very, very tough for Europe because their demand for oil and gas is very high. The requirement is very high. In the winter, this
Mm-hmm.
requirement will increase multifold, and the major source of oil and gas is Russia. And they've taken a lot of pangas with Russia since the Russia-Ukraine war has started. There are major European leaders who have given random statements, bad statements about Russia, taken full-on panga with Russia, and now since the winter is coming, they are heavily dependent on oil and gas, which has to come from Russia. So there the world order is changing, the world economy is changing. We talk about that. I also share company specific news about which company is trying to raise money at what rate, which company is making buyback calls. Tata, Reliance, Adani is almost every day or every second day they are into the news. Either they're investing in a new company, they're buying something, they're getting some contracts from different government agencies. So we talk about that. गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से,
Mm-hmm.
फाइनेंशियल मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से जो भी स्टेटमेंट्स आती हैं, वी डिग अ डीप इनटू इट, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट दे आर सेइंग, व्हाई दे आर सेइंग दैट. प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स लाइक रिसर्च पेपर्स आते हैं मूडीज की तरफ से, मॉर्गन स्टैनली की तरफ से, वो कोई रेटिंग अपग्रेडेशन डाउनग्रेडेशन कर रहे हैं ऑफ इंडिया एज अ कंट्री, या फिर किसी कंपनी की रेटिंग अपग्रेडेशन डाउनग्रेडेशन कर रहे हैं. वी डिस्कस अबाउट दैट. क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स कंपनीज के आते रहते हैं. वी dig a little deep into it and try to understand, make some sense of out of the quarterly results, and उन results का क्या result होगा stock prices पे. This is the kind of stuff which we discuss on the channel every day morning.
Right. So, Ishan, you mentioned about quarterly results, and that brings me to my next question, which is on fundamental analysis. Now, they say कि fundamental analysis बहुत important है. But what if you don't have any financial knowledge and you can't read a balance sheet? Like कोई reliable sites या sources हैं जो decode करेंगे ये सारे numbers and explain to us in simple English, and how unbiased are these sources?
So, primarily, there could be two kind of intentions behind wanting to know these things. Okay, one is to know it just to know it, and second is to know it to ensure that it has a positive impact on your investment decisions. So, I would say if you
Mm-hmm.
fall in the investor wala category, then you might have to put in a little bit more common sense into the numbers. But I think common sense is the only thing which is required to understand these numbers. Nothing more is required. Just for an example, I will take we'll talk about the quarterly result for all these tech companies which have been coming out, and you don't really have to get into the ratios to understand what is happening in these companies. Let's take an example of TCS. If you look at the results, you
Okay.
can easily find out that 55% of the business is coming from the US market for TCS, approximately 30% is coming from Europe, and Fortune 500 जो major companies हैं वही इनके major clients हैं. Now, if you're following the world economy related news, you definitely know that there is a recession coming in Europe. US
Hmm.
might probably dodge the recession, but there is definitely a slowdown or near recession situation coming in US. So the demand of
Hmm.
these companies, of the products which these tech companies are delivering, is lower right now because of concerns of slowdown. नाउ जब भी मार्केट में किसी चीज की डिमांड कम होती है बट हम तो प्रोडक्शन करके बैठे हैं, हमारे पास इन्वेंट्री है, सो व्हाट वी नॉर्मली डू इज हम अपना प्रॉफिट मार्जिन थोड़ा सा कम करते हैं एंड वी ट्राई टू सेल इट एट अ लोअर कॉस्ट. दैट इज हैपनिंग विद द टेक कंपनीज राइट नाउ. They are reducing their
Ah.
profit margins and they are trying to sell the products. Net profits are increasing, revenues are increasing, but profit margins are shrinking, and they are shrinking majorly. And that is not a good sign. That has to improve if you want to see a bright future in terms of stock prices of these companies. इसके ऊपर
Hmm.
last 3-4 months से if you've been looking at the numbers which these companies come out, there is tremendous attrition rate which has been seen in the IT related companies. आप क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स देखिए, इन्फोसिस के, टीसीएस के, माइंट्री के, एलएनटी, इन्फोटेक के, इन सब का एट्रिशन रेट जो है वो 20% या उससे ऊपर ही रहा है. किसी किसी में 23, 24, 25% के आसपास का एट्रिशन रेट भी है. What does this mean? This means that you have to spend more and more to either hire new people, or you have to spend more to keep the existing force intact from stopping them
Yes.
to quit. So उससे क्या हो रहा है, आपका
Yes.
जो इनपुट कॉस्ट है वो बढ़ता जा रहा है. So दोनों तरफ से there is a sandwich situation. You have to reduce your prices to ensure that your buyers will buy your product. At the same time, your production cost is increasing because it is difficult for you to retain your employees or to hire new employees, जिसकी वजह से आपका जो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन है वो जबरदस्त हिट ले रहा है. So that is something which is happening in the IT sector right now, and it is very easy to understand if you just connect the dots of very simple information which is available. You don't have to get into the details, you don't have to get into the ratios. So, all in all, it is a tough situation for these companies, and all this you can, understand just by applying little logic, common sense to some of the numbers which are present in these quarterly results. And your question about the source of all this information, well, I think I'm a decent source. If you want any of this information, you can just tune into Explained by Ishan Gautam. Link should be somewhere in the description in this episode. Right.
Okay, that's a great segue for our listeners to go and look your channel up. But in your videos, you mention every day you track some parameters, Gsec rates, oil prices, rupee dollar, Nifty P ratio, something like that. How should I use these parameters? Can you briefly explain to me कि इन चीजों को ट्रैक करके क्या कंक्लूजन निकालूं मैं, एंड इसका मैं कंक्लूजन अपनी स्टॉक पिकिंग पे और अपने स्टॉक ट्रेंड पे कैसे अप्लाई करूं?
Okay, very simple question. I hope if I have a simple answer for it. Now, it is difficult to come up with a conclusion based upon standalone information. However, if you combine all the information which is available to you together, you can definitely make some sense out of these things. एग्जाम्पल पकड़ते हैं, यूएस 10 ईयर जीसेक रेट. एवरी डे आई डिस्कस अबाउट द यूएस 10 ईयर जीसेक रेट, इंडिया 10 ईयर जीसेक रेट. यूएस का 10 ईयर जीसेक रेट आज की डेट में लगभग 2.96% है. इट हैज बीन हॉवरिंग अराउंड 3% फॉर सम टाइम नाउ. लास्ट मंथ इट वाज इट हैड क्रॉस 3%. ये 3.25, 3.24, 3.2 के आसपास भी घूम रहा था. So this is no ordinary
ओके.
situation. Let's keep this as Exhibit A, that US का 10 year GSEC rate is very, very high right now as compared to normal situation. It's quite high. Let's keep this as exhibit A. Now look at exhibit B.
Okay.
That is the current situation of the foreign portfolio investors. FPIs जो हैं, they are moving out of Indian equity market. आप किसी भी investment guru को आज की डेट में सुनोगे, they are worried about the FPIs moving out of Indian equity market. डेली
Oh.
4,000 5,000 करोड़ की सेलिंग करते हैं ये लोग. इफ यू सी द एवरेज सेलिंग ऑफ दीज पीपल फॉर एन एंटायर मंथ, आई थिंक लास्ट टू लास्ट मंथ एंड लास्ट 3 months फॉर दैट मैटर, लगभग 50,000 करोड़ के ऊपर की एवरी मंथ की सेलिंग रही है इनकी फॉर लास्ट 2 to 3 months. Similar situation is applicable for most of the developing economies. Let's keep this as exhibit B, that major investors, foreign investors, are exiting, taking their money out of these developing economies. That is exhibit B. Now look at
Okay.
exhibit C, which is the falling of rupee vis-a-vis डॉलर. ये भी रोज हम डिस्कस करते हैं कि रुपी की वैल्यू क्या है. पिछले 3-4 महीने में देखो तो 75 रुपए से 80 रुपए तक आ चुका है. सो अप्रोक्सीमेटली 6 to 7% का डेप्रिसिएशन है. आई हैव डन अनदर एपिसोड ऑन दिस वेयर इन आई हैव सेड दैट हमारा डेप्रिसिएशन बहुत कम है, बिकॉज अगर आप यूएसडी का अप्रिसिएशन देखोगे तो दैट इज 17% के आसपास इन लास्ट 3-4 months, and our depreciation only 7%, but that is a separate topic. Talking about current topic, let's say that अपना जो डेप्रिसिएशन है 6 to 7% का डेप्रिसिएशन हुआ है इन लास्ट 3 to 4 months. वैल्यू जो है 75 रुपीज से घट के 80 रुपीज पर डॉलर के आसपास आके रुकी है. 79.92 was the last update which I got on Friday. So now let's connect exhibit A, B, and C. And to connect A, B, C, let's go step by step and first connect exhibit A and B. Because there is uncertainty about the future of the world economy, the investors are looking for investment options which are more secured. If these more secured investment options can have higher interest rate, then that will be like cherry on top. And यही situation जो है वो current US के 10-year Gsec की situation है. That is having a higher interest rate, looks very interesting. Yes, looks very interesting, and it is a safe haven because market की situation खराब है, economy expected to not do great है, so people are getting attracted there and moving towards that investment. A lot of money of foreign portfolio investors, which was earlier invested in the Indian equity market, is being withdrawn. जैसा exhibit B में हमने कहा, FPIs अपना पैसा यहाँ से Indian equity market से withdraw कर रहे हैं, and that is floating towards the US Gsec. That is the connection between A and B, which you can easily form. So now you've made one connection. And you can make a future guess based on this connection that once the Gsec rate starts coming down, US का 10-year Gsec rate जैसे ही उसकी yield जो है वो थोड़ी नीचे आने चालू हो जाएगी, ये सिचुएशन चेंज होगी और आज की रेट में जो पैसा निकल के वहां जा रहा है वो या तो probably stop हो जाएगा या फिर वापस आना चालू हो जाएगा. Now let's add exhibit C to this picture. In exhibit C, because there is a lot of outflow of investment of foreign portfolio institutions, so a lot of foreign currency which was there in India is going out of country. Now when the foreign currency is going out of country, हमारा जो forex reserve है वो कम हो रहा है, जिसकी वजह से obviously value of rupee will be falling. So A, B और C तीनों connect हो गए. Now, in the month of July, we have been seeing that the selling of FPIs have come down drastically. पहले जैसे मैंने कहा हर महीने में 50,000 करोड़ के आसपास की सेलिंग हो रही थी. इस महीने अभी तक शायद 12 या 15,000 करोड़ के आसपास की सेलिंग हुई है. आधा महीना हमारा निकल चुका है. So this shows or this reflects a certain change in the situation. When we look at this number, we can expect कि probably जो bottom है market का वो जो है वो या तो आ चुका है या जल्दी ही आने वाला है. इससे ज्यादा और नीचे शायद मार्केट अब ना गिरे. सो जो FPIs थे, they used to hold around 22 to 23% of the entire Indian equity market. इतना इनका शेयर था in the entire market. After this huge selling, it has come down to 17 to 18%. Now 17 to 18% is also not a great number. ऐसा नहीं है कि इन्होंने टोटली मार्केट से एग्जिट कर लिया है, यानी कि आज भी मार्केट में इनका कॉन्फिडेंस है. और जो सेलिंग चल रही थी वो क्योंकि अब स्लो डाउन हो गई है, तो प्रोबेबली ये कॉन्फिडेंस जो पहले थोड़ा सा डगमगाया था जिसकी वजह से सेलिंग चल रही थी और यहाँ से पैसा निकल के जो सेफ हेवन्स हैं, जो जीसेक बॉन्ड्स हैं जिसमें अच्छा इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा था वहां जा रहा था, वो कम हो गया है, यानी कि द कॉन्फिडेंस इन द इंडियन मार्केट इज इंक्रीजिंग. दैट इज द सिंपल अजम्पशन विच यू कैन डिराइव आउट ऑफ दीज 3-4 फिगर्स, जिसपे अगर आप रोज नजर रखते हैं तो यू गेट एन आइडिया कि वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी में एक्चुअली हो क्या रहा है. You also talked about crude oil prices. Now, in terms of crude oil prices, इंडिया के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आई थिंक ये बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज अ नीड बेस्ड इकोनॉमी, अनलाइक द यूएस और यूरोप की वेस्टर्न इकोनॉमीज जो हैं, दे आर वांट बेस्ड इकोनॉमीज. बट हमारी नीड बेस्ड इकोनॉमीज है. हमारे यहाँ पे कमोडिटीज के प्राइसेस का बहुत ज्यादा फर्क पड़ता है. हमारा जो इन्फ्लेशन ऑफ आर कंट्री को कंट्रोल करना वुड बी लिटिल इजियर दैन कंट्रोलिंग द इन्फ्लेशन ऑफ अ वेस्टर्न कंट्री, बिकॉज एज आई सेड हमारी जो इकोनॉमी है नीड बेस्ड इकोनॉमी है. और इसमें एक बहुत क्रिटिकल रोल जो होता है वो ऑयल प्ले करता है ना. हमारा मेजर ऑयल जो है ये जो मेजर ऑयल की रिक्वायरमेंट है ये इंपोर्ट से ही पूरी होती है, और ये रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत बड़ी है. And all most of the other prices are related to oil prices, because ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, हर चीज के ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के लिए डीजल पेट्रोल की जरूरत होती ही है. तो जैसे ही ऑयल के प्राइसेस कम या ज्यादा होते हैं, हमारी इकोनॉमी पे उसका बहुत ज्यादा असर पड़ता है. पिछले कुछ टाइम से टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ लास्ट मंथ ये $120 पर बैरल के आसपास घूम रहा था, विच वाज हाईएस्ट ऑफ अ लॉन्ग लॉन्ग टाइम वाला सिचुएशन, जो हमारे लिए काफी खराब थी. अब आज की तारीख में ये जो रेट है वो $100 के नीचे आ गया है. अगर ये $80 के नीचे चला जाता है तो दैट बी लाइक एन आइडियल सिचुएशन फॉर इंडिया. हाउएवर 100 इज ऑल्सो नॉट बैड. दिस शोज दैट थिंग्स आर वर्किंग टूवर्ड्स Indian economy का favor, and you will be able to see that this will reflect in the stock market also. We have already seen the stock market थोड़ा सा कंसोलिडेशन फेज में अभी आया हुआ है. प्रॉब्ली थोड़ा टाइम तक रहेगा, उसके बाद अप मूवमेंट शायद चालू हो. बट दीज थिंग्स आर इंडिकेटिंग दैट प्रॉब्ली द बॉटम हैज बीन रीच्ड, एंड अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं.
हाँ, उन अच्छे दिनों का तो राह आई थिंक सभी देख रहे हैं, बहुत टाइम से सुन रहे हैं हम लोग अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. बट डेफिनेशन ऑफ अच्छे दिन कहाँ है पता नहीं.
और कितने टाइम में
uh,
आएंगे वो भी किसी को नहीं पता है. इस साल तो प्रॉब्ली नहीं आएंगे. मे बी वी आर लुकिंग एट सेकेंड और थर्ड क्वार्टर नेक्स्ट ईयर.
ओके. ठीक है. So I think listening to you talk about how to relate the different parameters that you track every day, and like you said, applying simple common sense and logic and looking at them together, I think that gives us and our listeners some very useful insight. And listening and watching your channel might help us and have some better fundamental analysis and also some good long term investing ideas. But what do you think of short term investing and trading? And those, there were so many people who started doing ekdam short term day trading during the pandemic, like literally like a satta bazaar. So, what do you think of that type of trading? And also, what about technical analysis? And ये जो fancy charts and stats दिखाते हैं ना अपने
ओके.
जो बहुत
Right. So, see, I think trading is not my forte or my favorite forte. I know a lot of traders who make a living out of investing and derive their fun out of trading. There were few numbers. जो zero था, which is a great trading platform right now, very famous. उनकी तरफ से there were few numbers which had come out where they've said that 90% of the traders in the market generally sit on no profit, no loss at the end of any quarter. So, ट्रेडिंग बहुत ज्यादा एडवेंचरस है, बहुत ज्यादा एक्साइटिंग है, बट बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉफिट इससे एवरी वन के नॉट डिराइव. So, intraday
okay.
trading, futures, options, call put options, these things are very adventurous, very exciting if you are full-time traders sitting in the market. But for me, or I think for most of my listener or people I know who have their day jobs and they do investment, or they look at stock markets only with an investment perspective, I think trading is injurious for health for them. This is only for people who can sit in front of 3 or 4 screens continuously from 9 to 4, uh, try and find out everything that is happening in the market. You talked about technical analysis. Now technical analysis are really mathematical based, and they are a good what do you say techniques. They are good techniques only if you know them very well and you apply them correctly. But for a normal person who is into his day job and is looking at market as a second option or as an investment option, trading से तो दूर रहो भाई. That is my personal view.
So you would suggest that a new person or a person who has other commercial pursuits and occupations in life should maybe park some of their funds in the stock market with a time horizon of say 3 years and above, and we could base those assumptions on a lot of the fundamental news and analysis that we can read and gain from various places, including your channel.
Exactly.
Okay, so let us talk about another very exciting, trendy investment option, or these new age or these upcoming assets like crypto and NFTs. And so, what are they? Are they assets? Are they currencies? What is this?
Okay, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That's it's one of the most controversial topic today, especially after the World episode. World is a Singapore based cryptocurrency exchange platform, which announced that they are suspending all the withdrawals, tradings, and deposits on its platform with immediate effect last week, owing to financial challenges. Post this, nobody wants to talk about bitcoins or cryptocurrencies. Everyone is running away from it. There were a lot of influencers on TV, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere, who these are investment experts who used to suggest investing in cryptocurrency as an alternative or as an option of diversification. These people who used to suggest crypto are facing a lot of heat on social media platforms, most importantly because of
Hmm.
the fact that cryptocurrency environment is not regulated. It does not come under the jurisdiction of any government, and if any of such things happen जो वर्ल्ड के साथ हुआ, जिन्होंने एकदम से बोल दिया कि भाई आज के बाद आपके जो भी क्रिप्टो होल्डिंग्स हैं, they are frozen, and till they tell you that they've unfrozen it, you can't do anything about it because they are not regulated. So this situation, this particular environment is very dicey to talk about right now. But I have I have a different view when it comes to cryptocurrency. uh, I would where would I start? I would start from 2009. If you allow me, I'll take you back in history again, around what, 13 years back. Uh,
Yeah.
this all started in 2009. Somewhere in the world, a shadowy figure hiding behind the name. I think it was Satoshi Nakamoto. That was the name. Satoshi Nakamoto created the first Bitcoin in 2009. And the idea behind Bitcoin was that it was a promise to create payment system which is beyond the control of any government or regulatory body. So, no, look at it with the background that this came out in 2009, which was just after the 2008 financial crisis. And it sounded like a revolutionizing idea. Considering the timing, it sounded more revolutionizing than you and me can comprehend it to be listening it to it today. Because the
Hmm.
most interesting aspect of the creation was that this creator so-called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is, whether he is real or it is a fictitious name. Nobody knows that. But when he created his
Okay.
first blog, the message which was used was a clipping of a newspaper which was talking about some bailout plan. And in 2008 financial crisis, governments were using a lot of people's money to bail out big corporates. And a message from Satoshi Nakamoto's side was in this, why was behind creating the cryptocurrency. And the message was that we want to control our money, not the government. We will decide what happens with our money and not the
Mhm.
government. And that's why these coins are not regulated, they are decentralized. That is the basic idea behind cryptocurrency. Also, a lot of people, I mean, now I know that everyone knows about cryptocurrency, and they know that Bitcoin is a virtual currency. It's not a coin, but these are just codes which are recorded in digital ledger, which gets longer and longer as more and more people use them. So you create one code based on blockchain technology, which is super exciting. We can talk about it for hours and hours. The concept of blockchain technology is amazing, and I think वो बहुत और जगहों पे भी use हो सकता है. But it is a basic concept. You create a code which cannot be altered. अगर the money is transferred to someone else, इस code के आगे एक और थोड़ी सी information add हो जाएगी और add होती रहेगी till it's getting exchanged. So nobody can alter with it. So if you understand the basics of it, it's a very interesting concept. It's a very safe concept. The only problem is it is not under as the basic idea was, it should not be under the jurisdiction of any government or any regulatory body. It is decentralized. So it can be a great mode of exchange of value. So if you use it as money, which was the intended purpose, maybe it was a great idea. But the problem with the cryptocurrency is that आज की date में people are using it as an investment option and not as an mode of exchange. And that defeats the basic purpose, which was the revolutionizing purpose, that it is decentralized and it is beyond the control of governments. And we decide what happens with our money, and we decide how it has been used. So वो जो purpose है वो defeat हो जाता है, because you're only using it as an investment instrument. And we really don't think, I think अगर if you're looking at bitcoins as an investment option, it is doomed until and unless somebody comes out and says that no, this is not the basic idea. The basic idea is something else, and change the entire picture altogether. Till then, I don't see a lot of future for cryptocurrencies. That's my personal view.
So what you're saying is that evading regulation and control, the central concept of cryptocurrencies is not a great idea. But using the blockchain technology to have DeFi and these kind of systems evolve, and maybe we need a complete new episode on that. But you think those aspects of the blockchain technology are great idea?
Absolutely, you got it right.
Okay, thank you so much, Ishan. I mean, that was really some great starting point for investing novices. I'm sure our listeners too have been indoctrinated into the world of equity. Um, Thank you so much for your time, Ishan. So, thank you so much, listeners, and we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. And do let us know if you would want us to do a follow up on this or any similar topic. We will leave the links to Explained by Ishan Gautam and Ishan's Twitter handle in the episode description in case you guys want to check them out or ask him any further questions. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.